You hit export on a Sora project and the credit bill is already triple what you budgeted, while Runway charged you a flat $12 for the whole month. That gap is real, and it changes which tool you should actually be using. Runway is a full production suite with subscription pricing. Sora 2 runs on a per-credit API. One of them fits your workflow, so let's figure out which. Test 1. Output visual quality and cinematic realism. The stinging part is that neither tool has published independent benchmark scores, so you're flying blind when you pick one for a client deliverable. You need to know which one actually holds up on a complex scene with character movement, rare accents, and body language before you commit to a platform. I looked at community consensus from creators who ran both tools on real projects, and the split is pretty clear on complex prompts. Sora 2 gets consistent praise for nailing rare accents, vocal expressiveness, and body language in ways creators say rivals still can't match. Runway holds its own on standard everyday scenes, and both tools share the same physics instability issues, so that one's a wash. The caveat is that this is all directional from community reports rather than a controlled head-to-head test, but the direction is consistent enough to call it. If your content is standard scenes, Runway is right there with Sora 2. If you're doing character-driven work with specific vocal or physical performance, Sora 2's edge is real and it shows up repeatedly across creator feedback. Sora 2 takes test 1 on raw cinematic expressiveness, specifically that vocal and physical realism creators keep calling out on complex prompts. I expected Runway to be closer across the board given how strong its community reputation is, but the expressiveness gap on demanding prompts is real, and Sora 2 goes up 1-0. I only caught that expressiveness gap because I spent way too long watching creators debug character scenes in both tools. Has a billing surprise or a quality miss cost you a project? Drop it in the comments. Test 2. Prompt to video generation speed and iteration workflow. The number that actually matters here is how many round trips you burn before a clip is usable, not raw latency. If each refinement pass costs you an extra API call and a wait, a 5-clip project can eat an entire afternoon, and that time tax adds up fast when you're on a deadline. Watch what happens when you need to refine a clip. With Runway's Gen 3 Alpha Turbo, you stay inside the platform, tweak, regenerate, and keep moving. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. With Sora 2 on the API, each refinement pass means another external tool or another API call, and I couldn't find a raw latency figure from either vendor, but the workflow gap is documented, and it's not subtle. Runway takes test 2 because the integrated iteration loop compresses real working time, regardless of raw generation speed. The safer pick is Runway because the downside of being wrong on Sora 2's workflow is burning hours on external tooling every single project, and that puts us tied at 1 apiece. 0-10 per credit at 1080p. That's the number you need to hold in your head for Sora 2's Pro API. Test 3 is pricing, credits, and cost efficiency, and the scenario that bites is this. You're iterating on a scene, you reprompt 4 or 5 times to get it right, and each pass is another dime per credit with no cap on how fast that compounds across a full project. When I dug into the pricing docs, here's what I found. Runway starts at $12 a month with 125 free credits on the free tier, verified straight from their pricing page. Sora 2 has no flat subscription and no free tier that I could find. It's API credit only at that normally 10 rate, and I couldn't do a per second normalization because Runway doesn't publish credits per clip, but the structural gap on predictability is real and verified. Runway takes test 3, and this one's a clear win on billing transparency. A subscription cap versus a variable meter that runs every time you iterate. Runway goes up 2-1, and if you're watching your monthly spend, The safer pick is Runway by a wide margin, because the downside of Sora 2's per credit model is a bill you didn't see coming. Okay, so Runway leads on cost and workflow, but style control and platform reliability are still on the table. And those two tests could genuinely change the answer depending on what kind of content you're making. If you're doing cinematic character work or building an API pipeline, the next results matter a lot. So let's get into them. Test 4. Style control, consistency, and built-in editing. The failure mode is spending an afternoon on a multi-clip project only to find clips 3 and 5 look nothing like clips 1 and 2 because your tool can't hold a consistent visual style. That inconsistency means external post-production time, extra software, and a workflow that should have been done in one place. I didn't expect this one to split the way it did. Sora 2 gets the nod on style expressiveness from community consensus, specifically that vocal and physical consistency across complex clips that keeps coming up in creator feedback. Runway wins the practical editing side with its built-in suite, no external tools needed, but the benchmark dimension here is style expressiveness, and Sora 2 earns it, directional as that call is. Sora 2 takes test 4 on style expressiveness, and that ties us up at 2 apiece going into the final test. Runway's editing suite is genuinely better for production workflow, but the raw style crown on cinematic expressiveness goes to Sora 2, and the score reflects that. Test 5. Platform availability, limits, and reliability. The scenario that actually happened to Sora users. The original Sora model was discontinued in April 2026, and everyone on it had to migrate. That's a documented event, and if your workflow depends on a specific model, staying live, platform continuity, is the number that matters most. Watch what the data shows on reliability. Gen 3 Alpha Turbo is active with no discontinuation notice, and Runway's 105 credit free tier and entry-level subscription are verified from their pricing page. Sora's original model got retired mid-2026, forcing a migration, and community reports specifically call out OpenAI's billing practices as a real pain point, with no equivalent complaints showing up for Runway. Runway takes test 5 on platform continuity and billing transparency, and that's the deciding test. Runway wins this comparison 3-2, and the safer pick is Runway because the downside of betting on Sora 2 is a forced migration, or a surprise billing event you didn't budget for. Runway wins on cost predictability, a flat monthly subscription versus Sora 2's per credit meter that compounds with every iteration. It wins on workflow with a built-in editing suite that keeps you on one platform all the way through delivery. And it wins on platform continuity. Gen 3 Alpha Turbo is active with no discontinuation notice and no community billing horror stories. Sora 2 wins on raw cinematic expressiveness, specifically that vocal realism and body language accuracy on complex prompts that creators keep calling out as genuinely ahead of rivals. It also wins for developers building API-first video pipelines at scale, where OpenAI's model cadence and programmatic access matter more than a subscription cap. If you need a predictable monthly bill and a complete production workflow, pick Runway at $12 a month. If you're chasing peak cinematic expressiveness on complex character prompts, and you can absorb variable credit costs, Sora 2 is your tool. One thing the docs don't spell out: Sora 2's API credits per second of video figure is not published anywhere, so you can't actually calculate your per second cost before you start generating. You find out what a clip costs after you've already made it, which means budget planning is basically guesswork until you've burned through a few real projects. Now, if you want to see how Runway stacks up against a different competitor on the same cost question, I did a full breakdown called Pika versus Runway, which is cheaper, and the pricing structure there is totally different in ways that might actually change your pick, so that one's worth watching next.